Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel, and I'm just about to finish this cup of coffee, so I probably need to go get some more after I record this episode. And we are diving into The Library at Hellebore by Casandra Khaw. Now, this is expected publication of July 22nd, 2025, even though I think I wrote no, I did. I wrote July 22nd. I think I thought I wrote July 15th. But nevertheless, let us dive into the summary and go from there. A deeply dark academia novel from USA Today bestselling author Casandra Khaw, perfect for fans of Deadly Education and the Atlas Six, who are hungry for something a little more diabolical. The Hellebore Technical Institute for the Gifted is the premier academy for the dangerously, the Antichrists, and Ragnaroks. I think we should take out for the dangerously Antichrist and Ragnaroks. Yeah, the World Eaters and the Apocalypse Makers. Hellebore promises redemption, acceptance, and a normal life after graduation. At least that's what Alessa Lee was told when she was kidnapped and forcibly enrolled. But there's more to Hellebore than meets the eye. On graduation day, the faculty goes on a ravenous rampage, feasting on Alessa's class. Only Alessa and a group of her classmates escape the carnage. Trapped in the school's library, they must offer a human sacrifice every night, or else the faculty will break down the door and kill everyone. Can they band together and survive, or will the faculty eat its fill? It is considered horror, fantasy, dark academia, adult, queer, fiction, LGBT, and more. It is approximately 288 pages, and I did have the audiobook, and I do not remember exactly how many hours it was, but I think it was around potentially 11-ish hours. And I do, again, usually listen to it on a little bit of a sped up speed. My chair is rubbing into my wall back here, so if you hear it, I am so sorry. Did not realize I was sitting that far back today. This book was kind of surprising. Now, the first book that I know I read by Casandra Khaw was the novella Nothing But Blackened Teeth, which was, I want to say, I was walking through Barnes & Noble. Actually, I was grabbing coffee at the coffee shop there, and it was on the counter. It was like $5 with any cafe purchase. So I was like, okay, grabbing a coffee anyway, might as well grab this book that looks kind of creepy. And so I did, and don't think it's over here. Nope, it's not. But went ahead and grabbed it, read it, because it's not too long. It's a novella, and it was pretty creepy. I think it was like this group of kids, a group of teenagers goes to the school, and I think if I remember correctly, one guy makes it out, but he's like insane by the end of it, because it does go pretty dark and creepy by the end of it. Very but like kind of has like Japanese-esque horror vibes, which was so cool and creepy in my personal opinion. So that was another reason I picked this book up, because I liked the vibe that I was kind of given with just the general perception I have of this author being kind of that grotesque body horror, with regards to her writing that I had previously encountered. And so picked this book up because it said Deadly Education, which I actually have literally over here in front of me. I'm putting my finger on it right here. You can't see it, but it's there. And because honestly, I like kind of I don't like slasher things, like when it comes to like Jason or Michael Myers. I like more psychological things, but I do like things that kind of have a grotesqueness to them. And so that's what I was going for. And so this dark academia mixed with that grotesque fantasy was something that drew me to it. And so I was like, okay, that seems fine. So we have Alessa, and she has this ability where she almost seems to be able to undo people, which is deeply unsettling. And we do kind of encounter the fact that when the book first opens, it seems as though her roommate, who I'm not even certain, I think at some point in the book we do kind of learn what happens to her roommate, but her roommate has done something to Alessa, but Alessa is the narrator of this particular book, and Alessa has undone her roommate. And so some people walk in, and her room is covered in gore, and her roommate is kind of all over the room, and she's like, yeah, well, she deserved it. And I'm like, oh no, oh dear. And then one of the other faculty comes in and barely bats an eye, and it's like, oh, well, it's time for graduation. And everything just seems very surreal with regards to this book. So I guess these sorts of things do happen. The bad thing is her roommate was kind of well thought of. I don't want to say she was a popular girl, but she kind of was more popular than at least Alessa, who does not make friends super easily. Now, there are a couple individuals who, like, one is, he's a necromancer, so he can't really touch people. I think he ends up stealing people's life force. And one guy, I don't know. It's hard to kind of describe what he does, but it seems gross. One almost seems dark elf-ish. There's a lot of body horror stuff going on, and it's so hard for me to describe because just the way it plays out with the physical gore and the dread. Now, if you've read Gideon the Ninth with regards to some of like that level of grotesqueness, then I think you will understand what I mean with just that level of just chaotic gore. Again, not bad. One of the reasons I picked it up, but also a little hard to describe. Because, I mean, these people in this book are kind of hard to kill because they do have these abilities, and yet it's so intriguing because the faculty at graduation kind of goes wild, goes mad. I don't know. I don't know exactly what happened, but the valedictorian more or less gets eaten first. And then, so Alessa and some of the others, they run and they lock themselves in the library, and they have to like pretty much sacrifice somebody for, until there's only like one person left. And then like that person is like free. And it's like, this seems wrong, but okay. And there is this kind of like dual timeline. So we do understand that Alessa was not brought here like under her own power. She was more or less like brought in here because she kept, I guess, unzipping people. And that's the best way I can describe her power, is like, and not in a, yes, in a malicious way, but usually because they deserved it kind of way. Like men who wanted to touch underage women or girls who deserved it, but she still probably shouldn't have done it, but they deserved it, would find themselves unzipped and their insides on the outside sort of thing. So probably shouldn't be out in public, but now Alessa and a group of her classmates do find themselves trapped in this library where they have to offer a sacrifice, or the faculty will try to just eat them all anyway. They'll try to break down the door and just eat them all anyway. So there is that. So it's kind of trying to figure out, like, who's going to be the last person standing. It's very diabolical. They're all very dangerous. They are all very morally gray. Some of them darker shades of gray than others. It is very much fight to the death, battle royale style. Oh man, and I just ran across my battle royale book the other day, which was like, that's a good book. I should cover that one on this channel. This individual, she said it's a dual timeline of the before times and the present times, and she delights in seeing new words and looking them up. So that's what Sadie Hartman she said. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't think I looked up any words, but I do think the language and the choice of wording was very interesting. Now, with that being said, and then completely off topic, I had just recently picked up a book that I'm not going to review because I got about a third of the way through it, and the author just went so, like, literally every time he could, he would be so alliterative and try to throw in as many adjectives and hyperboles, and I just got to the point that I lost the plot because the story couldn't move forward for the amount of just hyperboles and similes and metaphors that he was making, as well as alliterations and adjectives that this guy is also throwing in. That, like, there was no forward momentum because of all of this. And I was just like, but this girl, Casandra Khaw, her storytelling style is very well done, and the story does move forward. So I say that because she uses her words properly, and her word choicing is very well done, but it also becomes very graphic in that grotesque sort of way. So just putting that out there again. Now, this book, let's see, just trying to see if there's anything else. There are some, I'm trying to think. Yeah, there's some pretty triggering scenes just in general because there's so much kind of grotesqueness, people turning on each other, the very tenuous friendships that people may have previously had are already very on the edge because of Alessa, kind of like the roommate that she had. Those relationships are now already pretty fragile because I guess, again, the relationship that the roommate had with people was better than the one that Alessa has with people. So she doesn't bond well with people, so it's not like she can make just a ton of allies. However, one of the only ways that they're really going to survive even a little bit is to kind of form some sort of like relationship as they try to like make it towards the end. There is some like theming of cannibalism, so just be aware that could potentially be a trigger for some people. Now the females are pretty strong, they are pretty fierce, so there you go with that one. I like that as well. Now, in the sense of dark academia, it does take place in a school around graduation and a library. However, we're not going to class, and we're not really, like, that really happens in kind of the before times, kind of as we're flashing back, kind of learning like how Alessa does and doesn't fit in with the others in the school, or how she's kind of sees herself as more or less an outcast. So just kind of letting you know with regards to that. So a lot of the dark academia stuff does take place more in the past rather than in the present. And I see the regards, or the relationship with Deadly Education, because Deadly Education, the entire story doesn't really have faculty. It is really just students self-teaching themselves, working through the school year, trying to survive a school that is trying to kill them. That is Deadly Education, if you didn't know. This one they have made it through more or less the school year, and apparently graduation is a gauntlet where the last man standing is the only person who actually survives. So very interesting, very interesting thought process, theming, so to speak. I didn't really know what I was in for when I picked it up. I just kind of knew it said the library at Hellebore, and I was like, okay. And so I kind of because I again did pick it up on NetGalley, just kind of looked at that small blurb that said dark academia, and it said for fans of deadly education, and I was like, okay, cool, sounds great. Did not know the violence and gore and the macabre were going to be so high, but I knew Casandra Khaw was going to take me there because she has taken me there before in the novella I read, and I was like, all right. But the narrator did a fantastic job. So, I think that's all I'm going to do. I'm not gonna spoil it for you. I'm not gonna tell you the ending of it. I am gonna let you guys figure it out. And with all of that being said, I do want to thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much. If you have not liked and subscribed, I hope you will. And if you have, thank you so very much for tuning in and coming back. But I want to thank you for joining me on this journey, and I'll see you guys on the next page. I hope you have a great one.